So welcome to the first virtual Wilmington Tug. Thank you all for joining. Today we have a session, kind of two different parts to the session today. The first part being what you've joined now, which is going to be a bit more focused on seminar style. So you guys won't have the ability to speak or share your video, but if you do have any questions throughout any of the presentations, feel free to use the chat panel and we can address those as they come about. So we'll start with a brief intro to what the Tug is going to be about. Here we have the agenda. We'll kick off with a Tableau product roadmap for 2020 updates by my colleagues Emily and John from Thorogood. And then John from JP Morgan will be doing an artist perspective on Tableau dashboards presentation. So that'll be the first 45 minutes of the session, and then the next part of the session will be jumping over to the second link that you would have received in your invite. So that should be the same link that you were originally sent when you registered. It's the second part, it's the breakout session where we'll all be able to participate, share video, speak when we want. So kind of more of a networking session that we otherwise would have had if this were in person. So that will be helpful there. So my name's Laura. I'm probably the one you guys have been seeing emails from regarding the event. So thank you for joining. We're happy to be able to hold this virtually, even though being in person isn't feasible right now. So we're excited to have this first virtual Tug. I'm from Thorogood Associates, and I'm joined by four of my colleagues, Deb, Sarah, John, and Emily. John and Emily, I mentioned, will be giving a presentation on some Tableau updates after this. So we're all here. We've been working with the Wilmington Tableau user group and kind of helping host and lead these events for the past 3 or 4 years now. So we've enjoyed doing that, and I think the last one we held was in February before COVID hit in Wilmington at Christianacare. So that event was great. So we were hoping to continue that momentum virtually here today. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of who Thorogood is, since we are running this event, just to let you know a little bit about our backgrounds. So all 5 of us are business intelligence and analytics consultants from Thorogood. Thorogood's a professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics, doing work mainly related to strategies, solutions, and different other types of services. So all 5 of us are based in our Philadelphia office, but we do have also other offices in London, Boston, Singapore, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Bangalore. So we do offer a range of full range of BI and analytics services, including strategy and roadmap, application design and development, planning and business modeling, and some of the things that you see there. So we've had a lot of work with Tableau, leading Tableau trainings as well. So that's the role we play here. So now I will hand it over to John and Emily, and they will give you a brief presentation on some Tableau updates for 2020.
All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Can I just confirm that you can see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes. All right, awesome. All right, so we're going to kick things off with a brief overview of the Tableau 2020.3 updates. So generally, Tableau will release new updates about once a quarter. So they've really created a pretty responsive feedback loop between their users and the technology. So the 2020.3 updates were released mid-August. Some of you might already be using some of these updates, but for those of you who aren't, we're just going to give you a quick run through. Again, my name is Emily Dentinger. I'm presenting today with John, and we are both BI and analytics consultants with Thorogood. Just a reminder, please take note of any questions or comments that may come up, or use the chat panel, but we will have time for discussion later as well. Just a fair warning, I live next to a fire station, so everyone on this call will be among the first to know if there is a fire emergency in the area. Let's see, just a quick presentation overview. I'm going to first take a moment to give a high-level overview of Tableau, not spending too much time there. And then we're going to transition to the new 2020.3 version updates. We've organized the updates and demos by product, so we're going to work our way through desktop, online, and prep updates. And then John will conclude with a general summary of Tableau 2020.3 and a more complete list of some of the additional features. All right, so I want to start by providing some background information on Tableau, again, keeping this to a relatively high level. If you are unfamiliar or less experienced with the platform, I would encourage you to explore some of the existing webcasts and case studies on our website, thorogood.com, or you can reach out to myself or any of my colleagues for some guidance on the service. We'd be more than happy to tailor any information to kind of meet you where you're at. But big picture, Tableau offers a suite of products designed to help clients understand, use, and share their data. They've developed analytics tools specifically for data visualization, allowing clients to create dynamic dashboards for easy access to user and user-friendly up-to-date reports. So included in the suite of products are Tableau Desktop, Server, Online, and Tableau Prep. So Tableau Desktop sits on your local machine and enables you to quickly create visualizations to get insight from your data. Desktop has the ability to connect to different data sources and tools. Server is a web-based platform that allows users to collaborate and share their data. Tableau Online is a software as a service version of Tableau Server that is maintained by Tableau in the cloud. And then Prep is a data manipulation tool that was recently added to the suite, and it enables users to do quick and easy data transformations in a drag and drop environment. This is Tableau's reach into the ETL realm. So Tableau recently rolled out 30 new features as part of their 2020.3 release. Some of the updates do span multiple products, but we're going to highlight a few associated specifically with Desktop, Server, and Prep. All right, so we're going to start with Desktop updates. So as you can see here, there are quite a few new additions in this service, but we'll highlight a few that we found to be the most useful. Specifically, Tableau has developed relationship improvements, enhanced predictive modeling, and added an in operator to their calculation functions. So Tableau has added enhanced drag and drop functionality to their relationship interface. You can now build multiple relationships stemming from one table. In addition, it's now possible to relate tables based on custom calculated fields. These calculated fields can contain inequality operators, concatenated fields, or truncated values. This can be particularly useful when relating date columns in different formats. For example, extracting the day from a date-time format in one table to match a day column in a different table. And Tableau has added 2 predictive modeling functions that eliminate the need for external Python or R scripts to run statistical analysis. So typically, in order to run an R or Python script in Tableau, you would need to configure rserv or tabpy on your Tableau server instance to ensure that these types of scripts could be productionized at scale. But Tableau's newly introduced predictive modeling functions integrate using native table calculations. So there is no scripting or any additional server configurations necessary. So similar to table functions, users can still interact with the filters to recalculate based off of selections in the data sources. And the 2 functions that they added are the quantile and the percentile functions. So in this example on the screen, model quantile calculates the expected value at a specified quantile. The function requires 3 inputs, a number between 0 and 1, specifying the quantile. The target measure, and the last one is the predictor, which is used to make the prediction. And this function can be used to generate a confidence interval or even add missing values in your data. So here we've generated a confidence interval to describe the forecasted sales prediction. As you can see on the visual, the quantile function is a quick way for me to calculate this customized interval for my forecast to see where it falls. To sum up, the predictive modeling functions provide a low-code option for statistical analysis. which is really helpful. All right, so the new in operator allows you to test whether a user specified value exists in a list, set, or combined field. It's a matching operator, which can be used as shorthand for multiple or statements. And it's found as an operator when creating a calculated field. The in operator exists in SQL and some other querying languages. So the addition to Tableau is not like groundbreaking, but it is immensely helpful. It's no longer necessary to write out long OR statements to match values. In this example, I used the in operator to match values to a desired sector, and then I can just use that as I would a calculated field. All right, I'm now going to hand it over to John to talk through some of the online and prep updates.
There we go. Sorry, lost the unmute button. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Thank you, Emily, for going through those desktop updates. So moving on to the rest of the presentation, before kind of getting into the changes for the online platform, I wanted to talk briefly about why the online platform is used. We can all agree that analysts or BI teams are going to create the dashboards for the organization or executives using desktop. All of their analysis and important insights are captured in desktop, but simply creating visuals doesn't help the business or inform those decision makers. Sharing the data is the key point. You could obviously just grant everyone access to Tableau desktop, assign them a license so they can view dashboards and worksheets, but that comes with a bunch of issues like trying to do version control with the data sources, the costs of the licenses, and not to mention most people in the organization are not actually trained to use Tableau at all. Instead, businesses opt to use Tableau Online to make the sharing of insights easier. This allows you to specify who has access to different dashboards and data sets so users can then view the published dashboards without having to configure anything in Tableau Desktop. So again, there's quite a few new additions to this service, but we're mostly interested in the subscription run on extract refresh and the Viz export improvements. These two updates really keep the focus on why businesses use Tableau Online, and that is to facilitate sharing. So the new subscription run on extract allows users to establish an email subscription that's sent out when an underlying data extract is refreshed. That way users don't have to wait for the weekly or monthly report. They can get the latest report exactly when the data is refreshed. And that just makes it even easier for those decision makers to just have the latest dashboard waiting in their inbox. Sending out a report on every extract refresh might not be the right fit for all businesses, but it is a useful feature that Tableau has added. So looking at how the subscription setup works, in the dashboard through the online interface, you can go to the subscribe button, and then you can specify the format, who you want to send it to, exactly what you want to send, and then the orientation of any of those types of things is the report. And then at the bottom, you can see the frequency, and that allows you to either set it on like a schedule, or you can select now when the data refreshes. So this is a nice way to facilitate sending out updated reports as soon as that data gets refreshed. Another way Tableau has made it easier to share data is with the Viz export improvements. With the latest release, you can now export across tab to Excel and format PDF subscriptions so you can better share data within your organization in ways that meet the needs of your business. We'll focus on just exporting to Excel for this demo. So to do this, we'll open up a dashboard from the online interface. And then once that's opened, we can navigate to the download button in the top right corner, where you can see the different download options that you have. Clicking on crosstab, you can see that you have the choice of what sheet you want to make a crosstab, and now you have the option to download as Excel. The download comes up just like any other download on your machine, And now your users can use Excel to do any additional analysis if they're more comfortable doing that analysis in Excel. And finally, we can take a look at Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep has been out for 3 years with 10 major versions from 2018.1 to 2020.3. And as Emily mentioned in the beginning, Tableau Prep is really just Tableau's approach to data preparation, helping you clean and shape your data for analysis. So yes, Tableau Prep only had one update for 2020.3. However, it is a really good addition. With the new change, you're going to be able to write back to an external database directly from Tableau Prep. So as I just mentioned, it allows you to write back easily prepared and clean data directly into the relational database. And that could either be a cloud database or an on-prem one. This new feature can be very useful if you want to create new tables or modify existing tables with the output from any of your data flows. So in this example, I've used a simple flow that just removes any null values from a specific column. Once I run that flow, I can write the clean data back to my SQL database. Just going to specify the server, the database, and select the table. And then Tableau gives you the option to either append the data, replace the data, or even just create a whole new table. So it was previously a rather tedious process of getting modified data back into the database is now just a matter of a few clicks. So the 2020.3 release did include 30 total changes. Listed are the other changes that we did not have time to get into. They include spatial file union, which allows you to just join separate location files together. This could be useful if you get, say, a new month or year's worth of data in a flat file, and instead of trying to combine that with the previous spatial data outside of Tableau, you can just drag it directly into the workbook and combine that data there. They also have the new Shared With Me tab, which is just Tableau's way to try and make it easier for you to find the projects, workbooks, and dashboards that you work on most frequently. It also saves any custom views that you have, so you can get the analysis that's most meaningful to you. And then they also have search improvements, which allow you just to filter your search by the name of the field. And now you can also search by the type of field. So whether it's a calculation, a dimension, or a measure, it's just Tableau's way of trying to make sure that you get what you need as fast as you need it. So that brings me to the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, add them in the chat panel. We'd love to hear from you guys. Have a great day.
All right. Dawn, are you ready to share your presentation?
Sure.
Great. Yep, as John said, if you guys have any questions throughout, please feel free to add them in the chat panel, and we can read them and hopefully field them as they come in. Otherwise, we can discuss more during the breakout session as well. But take it away, Dawn.
Sure. My name is Dawn Harrington and I work at JPMorgan Chase. And I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different other than talk about the new features of 2020, which are awesome, like, you know, the new parameter actions and so on. So what I have a little bit different is that, let me go to the next slide. I have an art education degree and a computer science degree. So usually when I'm doing interviews or something like that, it's the recruiter will look at me and be like, how do you go from art education to computer science? Well, you know, Tableau makes it easy. Also, you know, marketing has a use for both, and so on. When I went to college, I learned discipline-based art education, which covers 4 disciplines of art, which is art aesthetics, art history, art criticism, and art studio, which has helped me in my career because art aesthetics is more like art philosophy, and art criticism, you sit in groups and you talk about a piece of art, which helps whenever you're creating dashboards because you're getting that extra brainstorming session and feedback on a dashboard that you create. So the other thing I've done for my company is create multiple training programs and multiple things like that. I've been at Chase for 13 years. I've learned multiple computer languages and have had access to multiple computer applications. Go to the next slide. So what I wanted to get into is like some of the design tips that have helped me in my career with Tableau dashboards. The first one being is the rule of thirds in photography. So the rule of thirds is when it's a process of, cutting up a visual component into like 9 grids. So you're also, it's a way to equally balance the positive and negative space of a photograph, a painting, even a dashboard. So if you look at this image, the positive space is always going to be like your subject matter, which would be like the girl standing on the rocks. And then your negative space would be the objects around your main subject matter, which is the sunrise. Which brings me to my next slide, is if like when you're playing around with positive and negative space, if you look at these images, so the first one, your focus is on, the 2 faces, and that's technically your positive space, even though it's, in the black color. And the next one is, it's the same thing. You still see the person's images. So it's still like that positive space. And then the third one, it's the candle holder. So that would be your positive space, and the surrounding areas would be your negative space. So how does this apply to dashboards? Well, sometimes I found it to be a really good practice is to cut your dashboard up into those 9 grids to kind of see how your dashboard flows. So in this is an old dashboard that I've created in my, my Tableau public site. So we have a map that's taking up 2/3 of like the dashboard, and then the surrounding space, which is your negative space. Like how do you, put items into that? How do you get your whole visual to flow? And I know there's articles out there in Tableau where they talk about like putting a Tableau dashboard, breaking it up to grids, and obviously the rule of thirds is an easy way to do so. And the next thing that I wanted to go over is color usage, which has helped me in my career. I mean, a lot of people, when you talk about being in an art degree, they wonder if you, studied the color wheel through multiple, classes in college, or, did you take weird courses like underwater basket weaving? And it's like, no, there was actually, some legitimate courses that you actually took. Color usage with this is an emotion guide for Media Labs, and it's in a marketing article. So there's different colors that emote different things. Blues are, dependable and trustworthy, and, orange is considered to be friendly and cheerful and confident, and it has a big impact on the message that you're trying to send in a dashboard. So that brings me to the next slide, which I can't even take ownership of this term. It's called the Fruit Loops effect. If you have too many colors in a dashboard, it's like looking at a bowl of Fruit Loops. Like, what does your eye know to focus on? So such as like the bar chart on the left, it's like way too many colors, it's way too busy. You can't really differentiate what the message the different, in this example, it states are, and then you can't really focus on any specific thing. And then what is preferable is, not those in your face colors. It's more muted and like, I would say a conservative color palette. And the flow of this dashboard, I think, shows some evidence of that rule of thirds, where you have like your lower portion being like 2/3 of the dashboard, and that top level being like the third of your dashboard. Go to the next slide. The other item I've learned is less is more. If you've ever received a requirement where you have someone that it was an old Excel spreadsheet back in the day, and they were trying to, put in so many different, metrics into one dashboard, and you don't really know what to look at. It's kind of very, very busy. And so you have to ask the client, what are you trying to answer? And they're trying to think of all these scenarios of all these different questions that, the client might, ask of them. And you're just like, okay, we'll cut it into different views, such as the dashboard on the right. It's very well balanced, like less is more. It's more visually appealing to the eye. And you could always use parameter actions and that kind of thing to switch your views in one dashboard. I honestly went a little bit faster than what I had intended, but does anyone have any questions on the content that I have in my PowerPoint presentation?
It looks like some people might be raising their hands, so I might be able to allow them to speak, so I'll allow that. All right, Derek, it looks like you may have had a question. Vaishali, did you also have a question as well?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
One thing I will add is that color palette is very important, such as when you have a client that wants to have like RAG ratings, like the red, amber, green, it's never really optimal to have that kind of color palette because not everyone can see those colors. So Tableau is great because it has like the colorblind palette, and there's like so many different palettes to choose from. So I always try to steer people away from that whole, you know, red, amber, green, you know, metrics and so on. Oh, there is a question. How do you convince your client to remove items that might be a little bit too much, like you said? You could bring up the point that, you know, there's way too much, and can they themselves, you know, focus on any particular thing. I know there's a video out there in the Tableau site where they go over eye tracking, and that's a really informative video about like where your eye travels, if it's left and right, and if there's too much in a dashboard, like what can they like physically look at. And I would always give them the parameter option where you're switching from different views with either like radio buttons or like a drop down. That's what I would use. Any other questions?
I have a question. How would you typically like deal with like specific visuals like next to each other? Like, do you have, I don't know if like in your dashboards or anything you have like, you wouldn't put like a bar chart next to another type of chart or something like that? Like, do you have any like rules like that that you typically follow?
There's it all depends on the flow. Like if you go back to my original dashboard that is old, there's like a windmill, a sunburst. Let me go back to that visual and show you what I'm talking about. So so one rule of thumb that I've learned is like pie charts, you know, and charts like, you know, the radial and, you know, windmill, those kinds of charts. The concentric circles are really, our eyes are drawn to, you know, circles and that kind of thing. Like this looks like a bullseye. So your eye would travel directly to that chart and maybe miss the main point of like other items on your dashboard. So typically I won't use pie charts, and I won't use a sunburst like this. This was me trying to figure out if I could do it using the cosine and the sin and other formulas in Tableau. But you kind of have to think about like, where is your eye specifically drawn? My eye was specifically drawn to that, you know, sunburst chart, and that's not necessarily good because it's losing the sight of like the everything else, like all the other charts on your dashboard. So it really, you know, use the grid line. Another thing is, you know, what are you trying to convey? So is that what you mean by your question? Like, how would you kind of like just move things around if there's like a visual flow? Using the grid line is, you know, the rule of thirds is also helpful with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
It looks like there's a question in the question answer tab from Matthew. Dawn, it says, your thoughts on scrolling dashboards or components that exceed the screen size versus multiple dashboards that will require the user to navigate between them?
So, like I said, one trick that I've used is essentially where you're creating like 5 dashboards in one, and you have a radio chart, and you do a parameter, and like, you know, you have like one view, and you can use a formula where you're just saying, you know, with your parameter, so have these items in this specific view, and then they click the other parameter option, and the whole dashboard can change accordingly to that view. It's really helpful if they're, you know, wanting to focus on like one particular thing, like such as, you know, budget, or, you know, people, or you know, things like that. Scrolling dashboards are, you know, they're fun to do, or the person can go, you know, scroll down, but typically you have to think about your clients. What kind of tools are they using? Are they using their phones? Are they using tablets? So typically those scrolling dashboards, they're good in certain situations, but I don't recommend them all the time. Like I'm preferable to parameter actions myself, and just switching out the different views. Are there any other questions?
I think now might be a good time to switch over to the breakout room, just to even continue those questions, just so it's easier for people to just ask them, because they'll have the ability to unmute themselves. So if everyone can switch to your original meeting invite, the calendar invite, there should be a link that says breakout room session. If you leave this meeting and join that one, we will all meet you over there, just so everyone has the ability to speak freely and ask questions as they might come up. So we will all switch over now, and we will see you over there. Just email me if you guys have any questions, or you're having trouble accessing the other one. You should have it from the emails that I've sent previously, but let me know. All right, see you all in the breakout room.